Hello, we are team number 36. This is the storage oscilloscope which we have built for Texas Instruments Analog Design Contest 2011. It is a dual channel storage oscilloscope capable of handling sinusoidal signals up to 5 MHz and square signals up to 1 MHz. It is completely USB powered, as can be seen. The power is coming from a laptop USB port. For better demonstration, the circuit has been laid out in its open form. Now, this waveform generator, which is a single channel waveform generator, will be used to generate test signals for our circuit. The waveform generator has been connected to one of the channels of our storage oscilloscope via the link being shown. The same signal is applied to a commercial storage oscilloscope. This oscilloscope will be used to verify the results of our circuit against the standard values. Now, as we can see, the frequency is of 10 kHz and amplitude is 8 volt peak to peak. Now, as per our circuit, the frequency is 10.3 kHz and amplitude is 7.8 volt peak to peak. Now, we will try and check the response of our circuit to amplitude variations. Now, as we can see, as we vary the amplitude, now we are decreasing it, the circuit also almost immediately decreases the amplitude. And as we go on increasing, the waveform amplitude goes on increasing. So we can confirm that the circuit is operating in real time and is responding to changes in the input signal waveform as and when they occur. Now, we will try and change the frequency and check the frequency response. Now, as we go on increasing the frequency, we can see that the waveform on the laptop's output is compressing. Now, please bear in mind that the time axis is not being changed. Hence, as we increase the frequency, the signals appear to be compressing. Now, the waveform generator says that we are at 19 kHz and the circuit also confirms that we are at 19 kHz. Okay, now we will check the working of our storage oscilloscope stage by stage and observe the signals at each point. Firstly, we will apply the input. Now, the signal being fed to the circuit is It is 11 volt peak to peak and 10 kHz in frequency. Now, this signal is firstly fed to an attenuator stage. This is to scale down the high amplitude signals into the amplitudes which are acceptable to the signal conditioning and the gain setting circuits. So we now apply the input to the OPA 2320 buffer and amplifier, which will correct the current settings and drive further stages. This is the output of our attenuator circuit. Now, as we can see, the amplitude has been scaled down. The previous amplitude was 11 volt, now it is 1 volt. Connecting these two points will further feed it to the buffer OPA 2320, which is a current booster for our circuit. This is the buffer amplifier's output. Now, this output is further fed to OPA 4354, which is a quad op amp, a wide band quad op amp, which will set the gains required for each channel. The output of this buffer is fed to the OPA 4354. It will split it into 4 different ranges, which are further fed to an analog multiplexer, which is CD4051. This is the output of our OPA 4354 channel 0, which is the 1:1 channel of the op-amp. Now this channel has been internally routed to the analog multiplexer. The output of the analog multiplexer can be seen here. This is the output of the analog multiplexer. So as we can see, even though the signal is passing through these many stages, the signal quality does not deteriorate, even in amplitude or in frequency. Now the ADC, which is ADS805, which is a 20 MSPS 12-bit resolution ADC, operates between 1.5 and 3.5 voltage ranges, with the common being at 2.5. Hence these signals have to be level shifted to 2.5. The level shifter stage has been implemented on here. So we feed the multiplexer's output to the level shifting circuit, and the output can be seen here. This is the level shifted output of the level shifter. This signal is actually applied to the ADC, that is ADS805. Now, as the signal is applied to the ADC, the analog signal comes from here, and the ADC's digital output is written into the memory. The memory is a 32 kilobyte memory which requires 15-bit addresses. These addresses are generated by these high-speed counters fed via the buffers. Now the counter is driven by various clock settings. These clock settings could be an external 20 MHz crystal or various frequencies generated by the PIC microcontroller. Now these frequencies are applied to a digital multiplexer, that is 74F258. The multiplexer drives the counters and also the ADC. Now as the counters, the ADC, the memory and the PIC are synchronized, all signals come into the PC side in self-triggered mode, and this is how the whole circuit operates. Now the most important part, we can say the second most important part, the power supply. Now this is a very efficient power supply which takes power from the USB port. It takes power from the USB port. It takes single 5 volt input. Now this input drives plus 3.3, plus 2.5 and plus 1.8. These outputs are further inverted by charge pumps, that is minus 2.5 volt and minus 1.8 volt. The positive voltage regulators used are TLV 1117 series, and the negative voltage regulators used are MAX 2662. In this way, this whole circuit is completely based on TI products and TI ICs, based on wideband applications and also on low current, low voltage applications. And this is what makes this circuit possible, even to run from a laptop's USB port.